Hey there, Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for May 25th through June 1st, 2026. Well, we just had such an intense, powerful, activating week with Mercury and then the Sun both coming into conjunction with Uranus in Gemini. Uranus moved into Gemini last year for just a little couple of months, made it to 0 degrees, and then moved back into Taurus. And then at the end of April, finally made the move for good in the cycle over to Gemini. So it's interesting because the Sun and Mercury coming into conjunction this last week, it's like the initial activation of what Uranus in Gemini means. And the fact that the Sun and Mercury came together for their conjunction first, that happened on the 15th of May, and they came together in Taurus. And then now last week, both took turns, Mercury on the 18th and the Sun on the 23rd, coming into conjunction with Uranus. So Uranus stays in a sign about 8 years. And so there's this energy of foreshadowing with the Mercury and the Sun as the first ones to pass over. They just had this epic conjunction, a meeting of the minds and understanding where at the end degrees of Taurus. So the understanding of Mercury and the Sun coming together has to do with our wealth and our worth, true wealth and worth. This is everything that's being exposed and brought to the surface right now. Almost it's like we couldn't complete the energies of Uranus and Taurus the last 8 years until Uranus gets settled into Gemini and we figure out what that's about. And then we can look back and be like, okay, have we figured that out? Uranus and Taurus, the message we got from the beginning was that it's a revolution of wealth, and that there's a golden age prophesied coming for humanity. It's unavoidable that the return of what's been stolen must come back. But it's difficult to have a jubilee and this abundance when we don't feel worthy of that abundance. And that's what Uranus and Taurus, because Uranus is particularly addressing our higher wealth, like our higher intuitive wealth, our higher technological wealth, our wisdom from the past, the future, and our higher self. So we've been looking at our worth for our higher technical abilities in our very own body, our light body. So really we've been looking for permission for embodiment coming in, bringing our energy fully into our body. The astrology is inviting us home into our body right now, having a breakthrough of overcoming forces that we didn't realize how intense the forces have been working, control forces, to keep us from this simple truth of embodiment, which you could also correspond with a feeling of peace, deep connected peace. And it turns out that is the biggest threat to the false controllers. And so it's a strange and powerful, amazing time. So we sit here at the edge, witness here in a body, humanity taking back their power and control over their reality. So this is what supernova souls are doing every moment, every day. It's been a battle. It's this big galactic space war, and you're duking it out with forces in your very own body on a cellular level. And it makes life feel impossible. And we didn't even realize the gradual increase of control energies, frequencies, vibrations, quarantine into micro level, isolation chambers, basically, in our little 15-minute cities. This happened gradually, right? Implemented, and we didn't realize. So part of what's happening right now in this last week of May, which is a very powerful week because we're going back into these squares with all of our personal planets in intense situations. And yet there's all this hope and promise of the future, this desire, this Uranus in a Gemini awakening, the Mercury and then the Sun within a week of each other going over Uranus, the first personal planets to meet up with Uranus in Gemini. So we're looking forward now. We're looking to the next 8 years and the next chapter. And it says, okay, whatever wealth you found of true wealth from this last 8 years, it's time to implement it into form and creative expression. This energy of Uranus and Gemini is awakening of the new Renaissance, saying that we can't go forward until we go back and get what we've lost in the interconnectedness, what should be between science and art and music and spirituality. It's like we have to put all these pieces back together. And so the perfect way to do that is a new Renaissance. It's just written because Jupiter and Saturn come together every 20 years, and they're kind of like the generational pacemakers. They're coming together for the next 200 years in air signs. So that's the energy of this Renaissance. And we're moving into the Aquarian age, also an air sign. And so it's saying that the Aquarian age, like to get into the Aquarian age, we need a Renaissance. And we need a full-blown celebration. Coming back to our Jubilee and our abundance and our golden age, that's kind of the deal with the Renaissance, is that you, in order to pursue your greatest artistic and creative passions, you need to be comfortable with, having what you need to survive. And that's kind of been the problem, like the deliberate squelching of all creative energy through survival. And so we have gone deep into this energy of survival, of fighting for our life, fighting this battle we're talking about on a cellular level. And really, this is what the last 6 months of astrology have been about, because Jupiter and Chiron came into square in October and then in December. Their third and final square, first few days of July, but in different signs at 0 degrees. So this whole time up through July is this kind of examination of what this Jupiter square Chiron energy is. And we got the message that it's the fight to the death for Mother Earth, and we didn't know we were even in it. We didn't know we were in the intensity, but it's being exposed. And in a way, it's like, whoa, this is really intense. It's sad. There's grief around how much harm, deliberate harm is attempting to be caused to light worker, beautiful beings that are here to serve and love and heal. But on the other hand, there's this energy of validation that's like, oh, okay, so most supernova souls been beating yourself up. Why haven't you been more in alignment? Why can't you walk your talk? Why can't you do your disciplines and your this? Why can't you eat healthier? Why can't you get over your addictions and all that? And it's like, look, life has been messed up for you, and you didn't even know how much has been working against you. And the structure is set up specifically to work against you and who you are. I mean, it's the same as all these lifetimes we had. If you incarnated in the Piscean age, like us supernova souls did, and in experiencing persecution for our spiritual light. So this is a lot of what's going on in the, of course, to move into the Aquarian age and our golden age, we've got to heal the issues of the Piscean age. And we have our last little bit of Pisces energy with the North Node coming to the end of its time in Pisces, South Node Virgo. And they move into their new signs of Aquarius and Leo at the end of July. So we're coming up to the last couple of months. And so it's like, it's so powerful because the beginning of the sign and the end of the sign have a huge bloom of the energies of the sign. The nodes move backwards like the shift of ages. So as they're coming out of Pisces, they're going through the early degrees. That was the end of the Piscean age. That's where we are right now, finishing up, moving into the Aquarian age. So that end of the Piscean age is exactly where the nodes are right now. So, and this comes on the heels of 2 years of Saturn in Pisces and Neptune, 10 years, 11, 12, Neptune in Pisces. So we're like, whoa, okay, are we really coming out of the dark ages? And this is something that's going on that might be helpful to talk about, kind of like this counsel from Mother Earth, kind of reminding us that we are unwinding massive patterns, right? And all this we've been dealing with for so long, we've been in PTSD on some level, just this overall anxiety around living as who we are for in this past years and lifetimes. And but so there's this feeling of, can I trust that it's better now? And this is the unwinding. She says, go ahead and wait for the next thing that's going to come and mess with you again, because you're getting used to having something different. But literally the enemy, it's like a line, because we talked about this for the last 6 months, this whole journey of the planets. At Mars is now having, he's the final one to have a square with Pluto, and that's happening this week as well on the 26th. So a lot is going on, and it's like this, and another, piece of evidence that we are coming to the end of a chapter, right? Uranus is out of Taurus. The 6 months of this square, Jupiter square Chiron, coming to completion. And I guess we're feeling that quite a bit this week because we had both Mars and Venus move signs. This is our saving grace. We want to talk about this maybe before we get into the specifics of these squares that are happening, because we want to really feel into the residual energy of the magical transit of Venus and Mars and sextile to each other. So Mars has been in Aries and Venus in Gemini. And so that's 2 signs apart, 60 degrees. And so that's a really sweet placement, especially for the masculine and feminine, because it's not the opposition, it's not the square. Sextile is the most collaborative energy. So it's just the best for our masculine and feminine. Like, okay, yeah, you're over there doing your thing, I'm here. We're like totally in alignment and working together. Oh, you got this part, I'll do this part. Okay, we're watching out for each other. It's total support. It's so different than the energy we've been feeling of the masculine and feminine just grappling with the pain, the abandonment, the issues that we're all facing in these times, and healing the wounds, So this is kind of like we're getting somewhere in this healing of the wounds, the masculine and feminine, they're working together, because it's not just that they're in the sextile, it's total alchemy, because on the 19th, Mars moved over into Taurus, and then on the 20th, Venus moved into Cancer, and that was exactly when they came into their exact sextile. So at 0 degrees as they're moving into these new signs. So that's a different energy this week, right? It's like our personal planets, when they shift signs, and especially at the same time, it's kind of like settling into a new energy. You feel it a little bit more than our bigger planets. Like they have this whole different dance of slow movement. So we had this kind of settling in energy with this sextile and all of the elements involved, with Aries fire, Gemini air, and then Taurus earth, and Cancer water. And so that energy is saying, okay, this is, we can access again all parts of ourselves and put ourselves back together. It's a very beautiful message. And so even though this happened, the exact sextile happened on the 19th, And that also happened right after Mars came into sextile with Chiron. So Venus sextiled up with Chiron, making that transit very powerful. Chiron, like really healing these wounds of Aries, of this fight for life and to overcome these energies of control, taking back our whole potential. So that's really what Chiron coming to the end of Aries is about. And so Venus and Mars in sextile involved the sextile to Chiron. And Mars had just had a conjunction with Chiron on the 17th. So this is a dynamic and beautiful energy around overcoming all wounds, around where we've given our power away. Not just that, but when Chiron is healed, it's our superpowers. So what's the superpowers of Aries? What are we talking about here? And that's exactly what this week's astrology is trying to reveal to us. But it's got some intense squares, opposition, which is coming to the end of the road, crossroads, gotta make a change, can't keep doing it the way you've been doing it. So this is a grand adjustment to our timeline. We've been talking about that. Mom says, okay, we got this timeline alignment. Sounds good, right? But where you've been and where you want to be is so far away from each other. And maybe that's where we need to remind ourselves about being gentle, compassionate, self-care, and that like massive energies of stored trauma is unwinding from our physical body, but also our past life, our auric field from past lives. When you're healing a past life thing, a lot of times you'll get physical symptoms or pain. So keep this in mind, like stuff is majorly unwinding from all different levels, but it's a process and it has to happen really fast. And that's the energy of this week's astrology. So la-di-da, this beautiful sextile with Venus and Mars, and they're dancing into their next signs, helping each other, supporting each other. And but right away, as they come into these new signs, they both come into really intense, difficult transits. Venus square Neptune, that happened on the 22nd, and Mars square Pluto. But remember, Venus on the 26th, Venus and Mars in that sextile, the influence, they're moving at similar speeds right now. So the sextile, the influence of this magical collaborative sextile between masculine and feminine in all the elements lasts all the way through the end of the month. So we just want to reach out and grab that collaborative sextile dynamic energy of alchemy, putting up pieces together and working together, finally, helping each other out. We really want to grab that energy to help us deal with these squares. Okay, so we've just had Venus square Neptune, and we feel that through the 25th, 26th, that's coming off right now, but all of our personal planets are in intense situations this week. At the beginning of the week, Venus is in square to Neptune, and then at the end of the week, Venus is in square to Saturn in Aries. So this is the bookmark energy, the most important message, what's really happening. Everything that's been happening, what it's all about, is actually about this. The divine feminine weighing in with her voice expressed from deep in her soul, after this Venus just got out of Gemini. And so now Venus in Cancer is in the energy of wanting to express the love, the peace, the mothering, the nurturing, the reconnection to Mother Nature and Mother Earth and the feminine principle in our lives, feeling nurtured in our life, in our world, in our existence. And so Venus has joined Jupiter in Cancer, and Venus is bringing an amplification of the Cancer energy. Jupiter coming to the end degrees, Venus at the beginning degrees. So the square with Neptune is setting the tone of this kind of little mini week chapter here. It's like so much is happening, but Square Neptune, square Saturn in Aries, and it's like in Gemini, in Cancer. And this is this wanting to come back to connection, home, mother's love, right? And that energy, so there's this pressure saying that Venus is informing the timeline now, ready to speak her truth after that energizing time in Gemini. And so Venus square Neptune and Saturn is the divine feminine weighing in on the timeline according to mother, nature, home, nurturing, safety, security, but it's a square. And so it's just like this tension around whether you can have the timeline and have the peace. And I guess that speaks to the whole energy of this week of astrology, kind of this final battle for our definitive, like, landing home and standing up for our own reality on Earth as organic human souls. So there's just this incredibly powerful but dynamic tension because Venus is still in sextile with Mars. So Mars is helping. Say, Venus, it's okay. You get your dream. You get your dream. And this is interesting because we got the message that Jupiter moving through Cancer, like it's been in this third and final time, coming out of retrograde shadow, that energy was going to be a tsunami of mother's love coming back into the world. Just this like overflowing cup, just like, and then this week I'm working on the astrology. I'm going, Mom, where is it? Where's this overflowing cup of mother's love that you said is coming? Or there's these kind of indications given, messages. And so it's very interesting because Venus moving into Cancer is a massive marker. Square with Neptune in Aries saying, well, do you get it? Do you not get it? Did you fight for your life force? Do you have the essence of the truth? Are you willing to express the full potential of who you are? Well, then that's what's going to allow us actually to come back into connection with Source, connection with ourselves, that creative expression, and also coming back into that loving communication with Mother Earth gives us the strength and confidence to create our masterpiece, to co-create this beautiful masterpiece that we don't even have to figure out. We get to express it, but the code, the blueprint of this new Earth and Aquarian age is already written in her codes, our DNA, and Mother Earth's organic original codes, the Gaia codes. She's been holding and keeping in the highest caves, in highest mountains, and the deepest caves, and water untouched by human consciousness or energy. And this primary water that comes up to the highest mountains from deep inside the earth. And this water has the message, the original code, the blueprint, saying that we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We were there, supernova souls, at this incarnation, this birth of this planet, this realm, what Mother Earth wants to be. And so it's inside of us, and it's kind of like a glorious discovery rather than something we're trying to manipulate into form. It's kind of a beautiful picture. Rudolf Steiner he worked later in his life, talk about this creative expression. What he was really drawn to was sculpture. And he really loved the energy of marble sculpture, like difficult sculpture, or all materials, but allowing that material to reveal what was within, And that's kind of the energy of the co-creative process. It's like the blueprints within us, it's not like we're stuck in the matrix simulation. It's like, no, a beautiful blueprint that we get to remember and express and uncover treasures. And so that is the energy of this, what's trying to happen with these squares. So Venus square Neptune, do we get our full potential? Can we reconnect with Mother in order to feel confident, express our full potential? And it's giving us hints and clues about this thing we're waiting for. Now, then it's interesting that Jupiter will be finishing up that time in retrograde shadow when it comes to 25 degrees. He comes to 25 degrees of Cancer, and that will be 6/6, June 6th. And so that's a very powerful energy, because that's like definitely an unlocking and unleashing of this love and this power of life force coming back into our life, into our world. But it's starting right now as we can allow. And this is the message. It's just so powerful with all of this astrology that's happening. So Venus square Neptune is a fight for the dream according to the original plan and the full potential of humanity, which requires the divine feminine. You know, right? Our masculine, feminine, back intact, healed, in order, taking their place, king and queen on the throne. And that is the energy of this sextile. So now we're feeling Mars coming into square with Pluto on the 26th. And we start to feel that on the 21st. So we are feeling this energy, and it's intense because Mars is our warrior, our action planet. But see, he's aligned and collaborating. He knows what he's fighting for again. So this square with Pluto is different because Pluto just turned retrograde, and it's a little bit of a backstep. But like, well, we've got some work to do to figure out how to empower the leaders of the Aquarian age, because they don't want to deal with the karma and responsibility. And there's no karma. It's a different way of leadership, but it's like there's this initiation, activation, and Mars square Pluto is this final piece of this last chapter around the initiation of our visionary leaders that we need to show us into, harmonize, lead the path, inspire us to walk through the door into the Aquarian age. So Mars square Pluto is really speaking to this. Mars just having moved into Taurus, it's about that wealth and worth. So the final initiation, everything we've been talking about, into our power and our full expression has to do with knowing we deserve it. Getting out of low self-worth, healing. And I think, coming back to all these forces that have been working against us that we didn't even realize, that validation, understanding the level to which you've been messed with, can help you have that compassion for yourself and also overcome and say, well, almost see it as the silly game that it is. And this is the massive energy message from Mother Earth. She's like, what a waste of resources. All these games, war games, and all this energy being used against you to thwart you. People hired to do deliberate harm, because why? What is their agenda? And their agenda has nothing useful. It's just games. They're wanting to mess with those souls that have spiritual light and energy and soul wealth, is actually evidence that they have no source, substance, spiritual wealth of their own. The energies, the forces, the entities, the NPCs, the gremlins, if they're harassing those of us who are on a spiritual path trying to move into our light, that clearly means they don't have it. We've got to remember this. And it's interesting, it's because it's come forward as the core teaching of Mary Magdalene, that, her recognition that she has, as a rebellious teenager, that she had what everybody wanted. In the embodiment of the energy of that creation force, which you could call the divine feminine. When she stopped apologizing, when she stopped doing it everybody else's way, owning her power and saying, wait a minute, all these games of certain levels of control, manipulation, just have to do with trying to get what you got. And you need to know what you hold. And so this is the energy of Mars and Taurus. And it's like, all right. And it's kind of like nothing can happen until we know our wealth and own our wealth. Our leaders can't come in. We can't move forward. We can't get anywhere into the golden age, the abundance, the jubilee. None of that can happen until we know our worth. But it's interesting because it feels like it's really connected to this whole tsunami of love that's trying to come back into our world. So the other squares that are happening in this bookmark, Venus square Neptune at the beginning of the week, Venus square Saturn in Aries at the end of the week, weighing in on the divine timing. And so this energy, the next, we talked about Mars square Pluto. The other thing that's also happening on the 26th is that the sun is in square to the nodes of the moon in Gemini. So we talked about how this is why we're feeling this Pisces energy so much, and like this wrestle with the past patterns and this unwinding of the trauma patterns, with the nodes coming to the early degrees of Pisces and Virgo. And so the sun in Gemini and square to the nodes as they're coming to the end degree. So that's going to happen with the nodes at 4 degrees, which is interesting. Because 4 is the 4th house, the house of Cancer, 4 walls, establishing home. So it's like, it's time for light workers, true organic souls, earth stewards, the natural inhabitants of earth, to take precedence in the resources that are available to us. Meaning that we're not going to waste it on these stupid games, you know? And so it's powerful because the sun in Gemini is this active, just had this massive activation with Uranus, right? And they're just like coming together and like, you cannot hide from who you are. You cannot run from the higher power within you. If you're going to live through this, you got to thrive through this. You got to be creative. You got to reach out and grab a hold of life. So this is the energy that Uranus is coming into the square with after this activation. I mean, the sun after the activation with Uranus. So the sun square the north node in Pisces. Sun is who do we think we are? Gemini, it's what's inside of us that hasn't been expressed. So in square to the north node, we're talking about the suppression of our voice, of our true identity in the Piscean age, and healing the wounds of this and claiming back the expression of Christ consciousness, the miracles and the magic of what the Piscean age was defined by, except it was stolen from us. So we have to claim it back in order to get into the Aquarian age. Doesn't it make sense? So this is what all of these transits are speaking to this week. And the sun square the nodes, square Virgo, coming to the end of its time in South Node, coming to the end of its time in Virgo. Healing of the earth. We came here to heal and free the earth, SuperNova souls, with our incredible love for this goddess, this incarnate, beautiful bride of Christ that we get to walk upon. And this energy of her realm has been taken over and replaced, attempting to replace with a simulation matrix that does not have the organic, beautiful life force that she wants us to have. And this is where we come to a deeper understanding of what's really going on with this tsunami of love. So the other thing that's happening on the 25th, 26th, and that same time, so that's Mars square Pluto, Sun square the nodes, and Mercury opposite Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius. Black Moon Lilith represents deep, dark secrets. In Sagittarius, it's about this why and how did we get so far off of our quest? So it speaks to those original codes that are trying to get implemented and awakened and activated with Neptune and Saturn and Aries. The activation of our new timeline is our original dream, the blueprint of the original dream. And so Venus weighing in this square, Mars figuring out the initiation, the activation, getting our leaders, our wealth and worth in the leaders, the ones that are on the cutting edge. That's you, supernova souls. And then we've got Mercury in the Sun square the nodes, and then destiny. The nodes are destiny, unavoidable destiny. And you know what? North node in Pisces, 4 degrees, establishing Christ consciousness on Earth. The unavoidable destiny of humanity is establishing, embodying, living, demonstrating Christ consciousness on Earth, the Christed Earth, which is the Christed feminine. And the missing piece of the whole story. So Mercury here in Gemini, and the Sun is now in Gemini, Uranus is in Gemini. We're like, we got this Gemini, wiry, intense nervous system activation. And now opposite Mercury, opposite of Black Moon Lilith, deep dark secrets in Sagittarius, around why and how we've gotten off our quest. And what is our quest? So it's like there's just this real call. Oppositions are revealings like a spotlight. So Black Moon Lilith and Mercury opposite, and Mercury wants to understand. And Mercury is halfway through retrograde, to its next retrograde. It's like moving along very fast now. It's saying trigger, it's activating, it's saying it's pulling forward a disclosure of the secrets that have kept us. And what are these secrets that have kept us from the Aquarian age, kept us from our power, kept us from our taking back our reality? They have to do with Mary Magdalene, the divine feminine. And in a nutshell, you could call it that. And so the fact that this is all happening with Venus at the beginning of these squares and oppositions, Venus square Neptune, and at the end, Venus square Saturn. So Venus comes into square with Saturn on the 29th. And so all this astrology this takes us all the way to the end of the month. Venus sextile Mars, our sweet gift of collaboration, takes us all the way to the end of the month. And Venus square Saturn, the last of these difficult squares in this week of intense astrology, takes us to the end of the month. And so we must adjust our timeline. If we're going to get on our optimal timeline, we have got to have that divine feminine in place with her voice, her say, her message, her song, her energy, her life force. And so it feels like we're not really going to feel the tsunami of love until after this square, because Venus now in Cancer, in Jupiter is in Cancer, Venus is in Cancer, but this square with Neptune is a total challenge to whether or not we get to be at home in our full life force on Earth and live the dream we're meant to live. This is the energy of these times we're in. Do you deserve, Mars and Taurus, do you deserve the reality, the life that Mother sees for you and wanted for you, and that you wanted for yourself as a soul? What you came here to really express. Did you come here to remain a prisoner of consciousness when you're an advanced superpower? And these energies that are trying to hold back our superpowers, clearly they don't have the superpowers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to parasitically feed on them and keep us from them. And yet, the control forces, it's coming. This is what we're coming. There's clarity coming on the forces and energies that have deliberately worked against you. And once you see that, it can set you free. because you see their game, you see their playbook, and it's validating. It's not just you being a fuck up or not being able to get your life together. You've been thwarted at every turn and tried, attempted to be kept from this deep connected peace. And it's as simple as that. Now, what has come forward through this Jupiter square Chiron is this control forces that, in this insidious ways that these forces work. Entities that have been in control or attempting to control humans' evolution, spiritual evolution for thousands of years. And so the effect and the situation that we're in right now, we've talked about quite a bit, but Mom says, really listen to this, okay? Really think about this. We're supposedly only using a very small fraction of the energy available to us as our birthright. Just life force energy. Why? Why are we only able to access a small amount, a trickle, when we're that abundant? Is this the abundance we're really talking about? It's like, higher technologies and advancement and intuition. It's like, whoa, this is a different energy, right? Because she says, if by chance this energy, like a dam, has been holding back water that it should be, would normally be in its rightful flow, in order to interrupt the rightful flow of our God-given life force, our birthright, it takes quite a bit of mechanical structures, and more as our consciousness is expanded, to the point where right now the technologies, the budgets, the personnel that's going into trying to keep advanced souls from awakening and finding their peace and remembering their power and remembering their wealth, it cannot be maintained, okay? So everything that's blocking us is false, technological, and not organic, and has to be held in place, has to have source energy, has to have an access to an external source. The energy we're working with, which is our birthright, which is right there behind the dam, is ours naturally. Osmosis. It just wants to go where the river flows, where it wants to go. It wants to go to us. Mother says, this is your inheritance. What is she even talking about? Is this the tsunami of Mother's love? Because she says, I don't know if you guys can really conceive of how blocked you've been. And it's not about you having to go get something or figure it out or take it back even. It's like in your authority, in your being of taking it back, what that means is the obstruction that's been blocking the natural flow is removed. Okay? So when you take an obstruction that's been blocking a natural flow, like we're operating at a trickle and we're finding out that we are massively abundant, we're special. If you are an organic soul with a direct connection through your body to Mother Earth and to Source, we are on a wild ride of this rapid enlightenment, just beautiful world we're going to be creating, But you have to have that within you. So it's becoming really obvious because the minions, the harassers, the energies out there, NPCs, it's getting really clear. It's like parting of the seas. And it's saying, it's very clear you don't have what we have. And you can pretend, you can try to steal it from us. You can be parasitic, whatever, doers of harm and creators of chaos. But you cannot actually take what we have, So she says, this is the thing, okay? Now, the other component that's really important around this, trying to figure out what's going on with the tsunami that's coming of love, is these Venus squares. If the feminine is weighing in on the timeline around Mother's love, and why can't we have it? Saturn, Neptune and Saturn and Aries and Chiron so activated in Aries. You got so much Aries. And it's not our personal planets in Aries now. These are generational change makers. They're in there for a long time. And it's really an intense Aries energy of resetting, because Aries is about the full potential within the seed, within humanity, within each of us. And basically what we're finding in the Chiron in Aries and the healing of the wounds and Jupiter square Chiron and everything of this period of time is showing us that if you're not actually like fully living, you're pretty much kind of dying. Okay? The Aries is bringing an urgency and saying, okay, we're going to reset our timeline to the original potential, what's in the seed, everything. Everything is in the seed. A whole forest is in the seed. So Aries is like trying to honor the whole, the I am, the potential. And the energies of the I am, of the fight for life, this is the definition of biology that was shown by the work of Bruce Lipton. And in his research in biology, he showed and proved that biological life is defined by the action to fight for life. And we've got a whole bunch of people in meat suits that don't even know if they're alive or dead. This is not going to work. You don't get to continue to use Mother's resources, she says, if you're not using Mother's resources. They're getting withdrawn back to her to be prioritized for her organic human soul earth stewards, because we're here to create the systems to bring forward the healing, all that's been stolen from us, all the healing centers, all the ashrams, all the temples, all the beautiful things that we created that were ruined and stolen from us throughout time. It's time to rapidly rebuild, and we need to be ready to go because the dam is breaking and the resources are returning. The first way things change is always energy. We know this, right? Like in the body, and in homeopathy shows us, like, first it's an energy, like you feel you're more contagious before you have the symptoms, say, of a cold or something like that. So it's like the energy is first an energy, then it manifests in the physical. So the abundance of the golden age and the jubilee has got to be energetic first. And this is the key to everything that she's showing us, is this Aries energy and the reset of the timeline to the original dream, to the potential, the full, total, beautiful potential in Aries, and the feminine weighing in on that. Jupiter square Chiron, this fight to the death for Mother Earth. And now we're coming to this point where we have victory. And the level of artificial, technological, and resources needed to hold the controls in place on all the souls awakening right now is impossible for them to keep. This is why nothing can stop what's coming, because it's our ascension, our awakening, except for our ascension is actually descension. It's about landing home, anchoring in. And that, I think, is that powerful picture of the sun square the nodes at 4 degrees, of this establishing 4 walls of a new reality. So, and the Cancer energy is home. And so now this is the Aries thing though, and Chiron and Aries just getting this massive activation with Mars went over it last week. And so Chiron and Aries has shown us the wounds of Aries, which is where we've had to fight for our life force, where it's been stolen from us, where our life force has been depleted, where we, Aries has this kind of intense, urgent life death situation feeling, So with Neptune, our dreams, Saturn, our realities and laws and rules of our reality, and Chiron, our deepest wounds, it's really saying that we have not been living anywhere near to our truth and potential. And this is required, But this is the deal, is that this Aries energy and the reset of the timeline and Chiron, Jupiter square Chiron, this fight, for life and re-engaging in if you're not thriving and trying to create and getting out there and going to win it every day, it's like the forces, the energies, it's withering away. So Aries and Chiron are reminding us that if you're not really living, which is really expressing your passion, what's deep inside of you that wants to be expressed, your full potential. And if you're not reaching and striving and living for that, if you're awake and alive, you made it another day, then it's like we've got to choose every day to go from the reality they've created for us, which is survival, into thrival. And this is what's happening. So the level of life force that's been held back through the dam and our fight to get it back has shown us it's ours in the first place. We don't have to go figure it out or earn it or prove something or anything. It's just the obstacle to what's been blocking it must be removed, which is it's being dismantled. So this is the tsunami of mother's love. This is open up in the possibility in your realm as we go through this next week, 2 weeks, because Jupiter gets back to 25 degrees comes out of retrograde shadow and on the 6th. So we've got pretty much 2 weeks, this next 2 weeks, and it's be open to this energy, glimpses of it, basking in it, languishing in it, feeling home and safe, empowered, connected, grounded, your pieces put back together in a deep, connected sense of peace and knowing that everything's okay. And it's going from, so many of us have been crying so many tears and prayers. And sometimes when life is so freaking hard, that's all you can do is just scream or cry. And now it's time to cry again. But these tears are going to be tears of joy and gratitude and immense, immense relief. The pressure, the dam, the blockage, the artificial, harmful use of advanced technologies which have been hidden from us. These technologies keeping frying us, keeping us in a Faraday cage, and mostly blocking our access to our birthright. And the dam is breaking. You don't need to earn it or deserve it. You just need to stand there and know it's yours and get ready to catch it with a cup. And your cup is this DNA, this God code DNA. It's the creative potential. It's a co-creation. It's that incredible unfolding of your own unique way of expressing this energy that nobody else can do in the whole fabric of all of reality. Only you can do it. And that's the magic of the new Renaissance. It's okay, did we make it through? Okay, now you gotta go. Now, then we make it through and we go from survival to thrival, and we're finding that kernel of all this potential and the creativity that wants to be expressed. So she says, you serve spiritual mother, father, spiritual service in the new Renaissance is creative expression of the divine. Expressing these energies in your own unique, individual, creative way. And that's a beautiful world. There's an energy though, because we're coming back to this of like, well, yeah, but mom, remember she says like how far away we've been from that. And now we have whiplash because we're like, like it's kind of like somebody slapping us awake after we've been, we were so numb and kind of rolling over and taking it, not even realizing the level of harm, deliberate harm that's been done to us to try to keep us from our peace and our awakening and our creativity. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like, just, okay, the dam just lifts up the locks. It's like, let the water through. And it's just our own birthright that was kept from us now being returned. And she's like, this is the tsunami thing. It can't come in a little drip, drip. Like it's, the dam breaks. And so get ready. And get ready to fall on the ground, not in pain, suffering, agony, grief, but in just pure, incredible reverence, joy, and thankfulness, because you feel inside of yourself this abundance. Now, the trick of this, because we're talking about going from scarcity, survival to thrival, and this is the deal. We get to this point of this tsunami coming back, this energy coming back. There is something unavoidably true in the receiving of this spiritual love and light and peace, and just being at peace in your own psyche, in the energies, the frequencies, the incredible wealth of this, showing us this wealth. And in that moment, when you feel so good, why? What'd you do? Or what did you get? No, you feel good because you exist. That's what they didn't want us to feel. All of the shenanigans through thousands of years since Atlantean time has been about not wanting us to know how good we can feel and should feel when we're hooked up to our source energy, our birthright. And it's coming back, and it can't, like she says, it's going to come back strong and heavy and big. It's got to be really obvious. Is this the miracles and the magic, the revelations we've been talking about? Are that we have to take this energy back, the Christ consciousness impulse of the last shift of ages. Like we can't get out of the Piscean age until we reclaim that back. And now we have the North Node, the last element in Pisces, finishing up just a few more degrees, and establishing that Christ consciousness. You could it's like, it'd be hard to feel the tsunami of mother's love coming back into your life, into your world, into your moment, and not have a spiritual religious experience of coming back to mom, coming back to Jesus, coming back to God, coming back to Creator, your own source, and knowing that you do not need anything from those people, that financial cabal, the Babylonian money magic system that's just been raping us left, right, up, down, and our taxpayer dollars being used on us. Weapons, military grade weapons used on us with our own tax dollars stolen from us. It's an absolute travesty. And this is kind of the deal. We're coming back to tsunami's love. Their network's breaking down, and it's like the source code's being reprogrammed back into this alignment with Mother Earth, and the matrix systems are not holding, the reptilian shape-shifting. We're seeing through it. The veil is, being thinned as we see that this is just a very tiny portion of the bigger experience of this life. What life, and the first thing we need to know and feel and embody is that this life should feel incredibly alive. And when you have that feeling of reconnection and peace and knowing, and the energy coursing through your veins, like I'm alive. I know I'm alive, and you know what? I'm going to live, and I'm going to thrive, and I'm going to do some cool shit because my energy is coming back to me. And the feeling of that is knowing and understanding, a glimpse of a moment of like this revelation that all the ancient yogis and those of the breatharians and everything they've taught us, that we don't need the food or the anything, the resources, like the power of that energy field. When you're hooked up to source, you can create whatever you want, manifest. And this is the energies that she wants us to really pay attention to, because they've been hijacking our manifestation technologies, time travel and type stuff like that, to manipulate our actions, our will, our being able to navigate freely. And so it's really important that we understand this dance that we need, that we, the unwinding of these patterns and these control forces. If they all went away immediately, we'd go kind of crazy, because we wouldn't even be able to handle ourselves, because we're under so much external control. So this is why it's rapid. We have to be there for people to help them understand what's happening, energetically, as we all go through these changes. But it's basically this beautiful feeling that you are a part, you feel a plasma reality. You know that you can create anything you need, and you're never, ever going to be a prisoner of anybody's false reality. And is this why we've gone through what we've gone through? And do we take the Jubilee? We take that captured up Christ consciousness impulse that was attempted to be manipulated from us in the last shift of ages. We take back our physical wealth. We take back our monetary system. We shut down. So this is part of the deal with unwinding and all the stuff that Mom's saying. Another important message, I'm glad I remembered, because I can feel we're coming to the completion of these messages. But she says that there's something about understanding in the playbook and how they've been manipulating and doing patterning, and it's a false AI matrix. So it's like, it's just computer code, and it's literally like, in order to actually come into alignment the way we know it has to happen, and as rapidly as it has to happen, she says that it kind of requires, or this is what we've been feeling, a shutdown. Like, everything has got to be grounded. Stop. No, we're not doing this way anymore. Mom says no. No more wasting resources. It's being reclaimed and reprioritized for her children, and for rebuilding and healing and repairing the harm that's been done. So this shutdown energy, it's almost like we can embody this in our life, like that unwinding of the pattern completely. Planes grounded, like nobody is going anywhere or doing anything until we get this right. Do you know what I mean? Family meeting. That's what's going on Earth. So to just know that in your heart and soul, that seems to be a message, that it's a necessary place. We've got to go through some sort of shutdown. It's like we cannot just adjust the system. It's too harmful. It's too out of alignment. And we've got to shut it down and start another one. And that's what's going on in your life, your timeline, our timelines, our reality, our emotional states, the patterning, the undoing of all these, the PTSD patterns, everything we're trying to heal. It requires a full shutdown of the old and a complete restart. I don't know. I saw this old crank engine, kind of like cranking it up. We're going to start. But we can't take this system. It's like it's on the wrong train track. It's like it can never be what Mom wants it to be. It's been too corrupted. Not that she has been, but the timeline and the structures. So it's like, I come to a stop and like switch tracks, right? And then we can go. And we've been here. We know we've been here for years. In these last months, it's like all the astrology is like, well, it's the end and the beginning and the end and another end and another end, another end, and maybe a beginning coming. But here we are. And I know you can feel it, because that Sun, Mercury, Uranus activation, incredibly powerful. So wow, I can't believe. I hope you can feel a glimpse, a moment of this ecstasy of the thrival of what it means to be alive, that you don't need to earn it or do anything or figure anything out. It's waiting for you just on the other side of the gate, of the dam. And can you catch it? Can you receive it? Do you deserve it? Will you give it all away again? We've got to become that holy grail that can hold the impulse of this energy, because it's massive. It's been held back for way too long. And the only way it can come back, she says, is like, a lot of the time. So be ready, be open, be grounded, enjoy those moments where you can languish in the beautiful feeling of existing, that not feeling good because of anything out there, but just feeling good because you exist. This is the magic of Aries. This is what has been stolen from us ultimately. And Chiron and Jupiter square Chiron, just claiming it back. Claiming back our good feelings, our good feeling world, so that we can go create a better world. And it's just so rapid and fast, the level of healing of trauma on a cellular level. For you and the people around you, be thankful that you understand what's going on. You can be there for them, but also just take everything you need for yourself right now. This is about reclaiming. And when we talk about the self, we're talking about, we know that the highest spiritual path is service and to be selfless, right? And it's kind of a split. It's like, are you selfish? Like this whole culture, everybody's just in their third chakra of desires and possessing things. And that's just what operates everything in that reality, So, but if you are wanting to operate on the more full potential of the human experience, that's what we're being called into, and that is this Aries activation. It feels like Venus, these Venus squares is kind of kicking into gear. Oh, that's what this timeline activation is about. That's what we're doing here. This is about, like, we're not going to sit here and slowly die as prisoners in your consciousness when we're even, actually more powerful in our consciousness than all of the mechanisms, right? And so we've got a rapid turnaround, a whiplash moment, switch track, shut down, restart, and let's go. Momentum and new directions is what everything is saying. So I think we'll be feeling that shift not until Venus comes out of square with Neptune. That happens on the 25th, comes out of square with Saturn on the 31st. So it's pretty much through this end. And then from the 31st to the 6th, we'll be feeling Jupiter at the very last, third time through that 20. Right now, Jupiter's at 22 degrees and we'll make it to 24 degrees this week. And like I said, on the 6th, makes it to 25 degrees and comes out of retrograde shadow. And that's the marker. But there's all this we have a break from these difficult transits in that first week of June. Not so much of the tension, but we're really starting to feel the next big thing, which is Uranus coming into square with the nodes. So that's kind of a precursor energy we're getting with the sun. Mercury just did that last week, and now the sun square the nodes this week on the 26th, and the destiny of the truth of who we are in our higher power and greater potential. And now Uranus will be coming into square with the nodes of the moon. And that's when the nodes are just finishing up in Pisces and Virgo. So it's like the sun, Mercury and the sun squaring the nodes is moving us into this next chapter. The rest of the squares and intensity going away at the end of this week. And then we're just kind of poised, sitting, waiting for this destiny moment of Uranus square the nodes. That happens exact from the 15th to the 17th of June. We started feeling it on the 17th of May, and we feel it all the way through the end of June. So a whole month 6 weeks of the influence, Uranus awakening the voice, the expression of our higher power in Gemini, the truth of who we are in that greater potential. Square the nodes, just finishing up in Pisces and Virgo. We're talking destiny and Christ consciousness. So when they come together, they will be at 1 degree, I believe. Uranus will have, let's see. I'm not sure when Uranus turns retrograde, but it looks like 1-2 degrees is where the nodes are going to be for that square with Uranus. So they're just coming to the very end of Pisces and Virgo, and healing, completing, owning the magic of the Piscean age, completely freeing in the earth. It's our destiny. It's what we came for. We're here at this moment. It's either live free or die, right? If we don't claim life, expression, full potential, passion, because you woke up today, then we're just kind of slowly giving it away to the parasitic forces. And so we activate and we use this energy. We use their playbook for our fuel. And that's this turnaround moment and time. So Uranus square the nodes in the middle of June, but feeling it for the whole month of June and from now through the end of June. And it's the destiny around the expression of our higher power, of our advanced technology available in our very own body. But now we know the true wealth we're talking about is simply life force available in our own body. And maybe it's that corresponding part of being an advanced soul and all the work you've done over lifetimes. The inheritance we've been talking about and been told about is this, that you may have a more easy, more beautiful, more incredibly powerful connection to source because of the work you've done, and you can help other souls find their way there. But your inheritance is coming now, and we must stand and we must container ourselves and own it and hold it sacred. It's so much easier to do when you feel better. So may you get a glimpse, may you feel this energy, may you see this potential, feel that it's like right now the dam has some cracks in it, so a little bit more life force is coming through. And you might have like a little bit of rainbow mist, a little bit of a taste of what's coming. And it's interesting because, gosh, how many times have I been like, get your house in order, you guys, clean up, cleanse, heal, get organized, and this is like, because, we need to go within, or we got to meditate, and this is like, get ready, because a massive amount of life force, mother's palpable love, feeling of interconnected energy with the earth, like plasma, interexchange of this co-creation dream, walking with Mother Earth. And that is what's coming, and the dam's breaking. So we're getting a hint and a taste, and we're getting instructions and downloads. The Sun, Mercury, and Mercury, Sun, Uranus, and now these intense transits, all of these squares and oppositions, saying there's a great revealing happening, and the revealing is who we are in our power and potential, that there's no denying it anymore. And some, energies there's going to be things people have to face and work out and go through. Some of us are going to walk around finally showing our light, like literally glowing in absolute joy and bliss, because we know what we did to survive, to make it to this point. And is that why we had to go through everything we had to go through? So we willingly receive this massive abundance, the gifts from heaven, the manna, the free-flowing, absolute, joyful, ecstatic bliss, simply because you exist. Yep, it's yours. It's your inheritance because of all that shit you went through, all those past lives, but particularly these last years. And now you're going to understand what you've been put through. It'll be validated. Stop beating yourself up and stand up in your authority. This is our embodiment, she says. When we embody into our body, that's mother's authority. And we stand in this. And we stand in the knowing of our true wealth. And we don't apologize, and we don't leak it out, and we don't cut it up into pieces and share it around, because they didn't go through hell and back. And they are not worthy or capable. You are the only one who can operate your sacred, most beautiful gift, the temple, the form of this body. Only you. It's up to you. And that's why we're saying, coming back to this self thing, and being selfless is, something good and spiritual. But there comes a point in your spiritual path when you have to recognize that the self, that, we're all the self. And so you get to this point, because all spiritual paths, it's a true spiritual path that's going to lead you to this place. And we're all one. We're all interconnected. We're all one. We also have our spiritual autonomy in our own being. That's part of our individuating soul process, this beautiful journey that we're on in our God training. But in that recognition that we are all the self, that the self is manifest in all these different ways, then you recognize and realize that this part of the self that you've been given, that you get to take care of and are responsible for, it's your job. No one else can take care of it. And it's nobody else's property. So in the end, selflessness is selfishness, in recognizing that you're the only one that can tend to your part of the self. And do you honor the self? Do you honor God? Do you honor Mother? Are you willing to hold it sacred and not leak it out, and not allow forces that don't deserve it and have manipulated it or just parasitically feeding? No more access, So it's like, it comes to that place of like extreme selflessness and the service and wanting to help everybody, and then kind of saying, whoa, if I want to preserve the self, I better get this part that I'm in charge of. I'm the only one who can tend to this part, and I'm going to keep it safe, and I'm going to honor it. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to cut it up. And that the world would call selfish. But actually, your enlightenment is the most beautiful selfless gift you can give. Us putting ourselves back together and walking in the world in the demonstration. Here we go. And I hope you have a beautiful journey. Hang in there this week. This is like a final intense squeeze. We're just in this, like, in the labor pains are getting closer and closer together, and the rebirth and Venus, all these squares are just putting the pressure on that our life adjusts and changes. Our life in that old repeating pattern, shut down. No more energy is going to go to that stupid game. That programming that now we can see it wasn't ours, it's not true to us, and we're taking back, embodying, landing, owning, and being that temple to host this Christ consciousness on earth. Thank you so much for being here, and may you feel this incredible redemption and love and support as this tsunami of Mother's love comes back into your life, into your world. It's like there's so much love there that it forgives everything. It's like a balm that solves and heals everything. And you can't feel bad about the things that you felt you could have done different and that you didn't, you succeeded and you failed here or whatever. There's just the grief and the pain and that you haven't gotten over. It's like you're not going to remember how bad it's been. We got this message, write it down, because you're not going to remember how bad it was. Really quickly, Write it down so you remember, because you need to validate, know how you got through it so you can help other people. We're coming to the end of the shenanigans and the false reality and the organic souls that hold the codes waking up, pop, 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 like popcorn, and nothing can stop it. It's so exciting. It's so beautiful. And you're going to feel so much better. And that's my wish for you. You have a glimpse, a moment, a sense of this energy that's coming so you can prepare and help those around you prepare. This is a spiritual moment of revelation, a direct communication, the type of experience that changes you forever. In a moment, you're a different person. This is the energy that's coming in, but it's coming in a massive amount. And can you be that grail, that container to hold this precious? So thank you so much. Supernova Souls, thank you so much for your support, for listening, being here, listening to this information, bringing the information through your own psyche by your involvement in the Supernova Soul Tribe. It means so much to me. And to work with you, to be with you, is such an honor. And so thank you so much for your support. Thanks for being a part of the Supernova Soul Tribe. That's $20 a month. Gets you into every new moon and full moon activation. I didn't talk about that. I knew there was something. Sagittarius full moon coming up Sunday, May 31st. And the activation will be Saturday, May 30th. So I hope to see you there. Sagittarius full moon. We're going to get some answers, some clarity, some information about this greater quest that we have been prevented from being on. And it's like, whoop, get back on your rocket. It's about to shoot off back into alignment with that ultimate dream. All that's been withheld, come back sevenfold. All that was stolen. So prepare. It's a different type of preparing, a different type of initiation, that you must be ready to receive massive wealth, and on an energetic level, on a physical level, to disseminate this wealth, to create projects and, to build, to rapidly get going on the rebuilding and the restoration of Mother Earth. Because that's what this means. This turnaround says those resources have now been reclaimed and prioritized, reprioritized. And so we build. And you're the ones who know what we need, what we want to do, how to heal, how to help. And so get ready, Feel the feels, go through what you're doing, take care of yourself, unwinding. There might be a lot of physical symptoms. Mars square Pluto affects the physical body. But it's our physical body's effect. If it is affecting your physical body, it has to do with your resistance to your higher power and your higher knowing and the embodiment of this energy. So we're going to burn it all away and get over all the fear. No more time for that, because here comes the fun part. So I love you so much, and thank you so much for your support. I've got upcoming Goddess Activation 2. If you did the Goddess Activation 1, or maybe you're interested in getting the replays of the Goddess Activation 1 8-pillar course series, activating that creation energy available right in our very own body. It's for women and men, incredibly powerful, learning to hold and contain the energy so we can ramp it up. And it's the perfect entry into the new Renaissance. And the Goddess Activation 2, the goddesses, they want to work with us more deeply, these archetypes, and there's more goddesses, archetypes of different cultures that want to come and talk to us. So Goddess Activation 2 coming up here. So look out for that, and information about all these offerings in the information box below. Also a link to send a donation if you appreciate this, if this is helpful, and you appreciate the ad-free space. I appreciate your donation, your support. It means so much to me in this time, this trying time, as we go through the absolute tide going out in our life in order to prepare for the massive abundance. And that was kind of the message on this Jupiter retrograde. So remember that the Jupiter retrograde in Cancer was like the tide going out, all the good. But then it has to come back now, doesn't it? So I'm so glad we're here to know this, to be present, to be prepared, and to witness this time together. I love you so much, Supernova Souls. Thank you so much for your support, for being here, being with me. I can't wait to see what happens in this chapter ahead. Thank you so much for all of your work over lifetimes, everything you've gone through to be here right now, to hold space, stand up, and know you deserve and receive, to hold, to contain, and hold sacred this spiritual inheritance. It's ours, and it's coming back. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you at that Sagittarius full moon activation, Saturday, May 30th, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I hope to see you there or on the next update. Until then, I'm Elise. Thank you so much. Namaste.